I'm sure you've seen this in our gym, and I've seen it in, just generally around the world when people exercise, is that there's kind of two types of athletes in a sense. There's three. There's people that do things, the best possible way, and then there's people that are kind of like you're saying, is like the just do it type of person. Is that I want to lift 200 pounds, so I'm going to try and lift 200 pounds, and I'm going to fail it 10 times today, and I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I'm going to fail it 10 more times until I succeed one time. Or there's the other type of person that hyper fixates on technique and doing things, 100% perfect. And like they're very timid when it comes to actually doing the exercise for the intended stimulus or the intention behind it. And then when it's time to say like a power clean, when it's time to actually power clean, the goal of a power clean is, yes, to move with a high level technical proficiency, but it's also to move a lot of fucking weight really quickly. So if you're
Hmm.
moving a little bit of weight really quickly, you're not really doing the thing. You're not getting the benefit of that. Or you've kind of missed the boat in terms of intention. So it's like there is a skill associated to lifting heavy, and you need to train the skill of lifting heavy as far as your technique will allow. But then you need to break it down to the studs again, and you need to rebuild that technique to a better level or a higher level, and then you can just kind of push through that again. And that's kind of my interpretation of what you're saying is like, yeah, sometimes you just got to do it. But then also sometimes you need to relearn how to do it.
Absolutely. And I think in the technical sense, at the advent of my CrossFit career and my more modern training career, it was all down to the studs, and I was this coach had kind of shaped me into an athlete that was ready to relearn on the technical side. And what she let me keep from my previous career was the go get it attitude. So
Yeah.
when she turned on the switch and said, "All right, it's time to lift," she had the confidence that she was training me as a newly ready to learn athlete that would absorb that new skill and then bring in the old athlete that was ready to go get it and had that competitive nature and was going to fire on all cylinders when it was trying to load up the barbell or, um, test a new skill in a high volume workout or something like that. Um, and that as a coach, seeing that is something I think really is the basis for my coaching career today is how can I manipulate any athlete and bring out the go-getting nature wherever it may be in their life. A
Yeah.
lot of people I work with are programmers, and I know they are go-getters when it comes to like programming on a computer. There's tech companies that give you bonuses based on the amount of code you write, like line by line. You get a bonus for 10,000 lines. And that in my head, I don't do that. But that in my head is
Honestly,
like,
I don't even know what the fuck that means. I'm like, I could probably have ChatGPT do that for me.
yeah, yeah. But basically, um, it's a very objective measurement of your work. It's less
Right.
qualitative, very quantitative.
Yeah.
And if I can reach into athlete's psyche and pull out that quantitative nature to high quantity, high quality through teaching good skill, I can balance what I can give them and what they already have. And I think one of the problems I see with coaches, um, especially in large group fitness classes, is it's too broad of a pull to try to pull someone's ability to go get it, to pull that quantitative ability from an athlete. How do we get the athlete to want to do heavier weight, right? We can sit there teaching something the whole class, but at the end of the day, if they don't feel comfortable with it, where's the go-getter attitude that you're hoping they have once you teach them the right thing?
Hmm.
I do this really interesting thing when I teach our fundamentals class. I put up a workout on the board and I write 5 minutes AMRAP, like 10 air squats, eight box step ups, six burpees, right? And I say, all right, look at this workout, new athletes. Like this looks pretty easy. 5 minutes, you do the reps, 10, 8, 6, super easy. Air squat, box step up, burpee. We just learned these movements, how easy it is, right? And then I go write a one in front of the five. 15 minutes AMRAP. And a little different story, right? And then I put a zero next to the 10. 15 minutes AMRAP, 100 air squats, right? And then 80 box step ups, 50 burpee. They're a whole different workout, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then usually I run one of those with them, and then we have a little debrief afterwards. And here's the trick I get them with. I say, hey, look, we never changed any of the movements. right? I said the air squat never changed, right? The box step up never changed. The burpee never changed. So here's the lesson to you guys. I can teach you the skill of that air squat over and over and over, and we can get really, really good at it. But if you never get good at it, we can never play the game of the 100 reps, the 10 reps, the 15 minutes, the as fast as you can, the as many as you can, the as long as you can. Because your form at the end of the day, your technique at the day, your ability to perform that skill is going to be garbage. And you'll always be blocked by your ability to not be able to do that skill. And you're going to get caught up in that. And you're going to wonder why you can't do 100 reps. And that's why we see people quit after a month. Why do they quit after 2 months? They quit after they try to put that initial heavier load on the bar because that spark goes off in them and they're ready for the go-getter attitude, but they never built the skill.
Mm.
And as a coach, where I come in is I don't worry about the reps. When I read a workout, I just read it. We don't dwell on the workout. We dwell on the skills in the workout. What skill are we going to get better at today? And then how are we going to apply that to our workout?
Yeah.
Whether it's a large volume workout where I only have 5 minutes to hone in on a specific thing and warm up, or whether it's a short workout with a lifting session where I can give, you know, a Jordan style soliloquy on the intricacies of pull to a high pull in your power clean, right? How do we generate most power through our hips? How much time do I have? What is the workout? But if we can't hone in on at least something with skill every class, your athletes are going to get so caught up in the sport of CrossFit. And the sport of CrossFit is just that. It is a sport. Okay. Cycling a barbell is different than your clean. It is two different things. And athletes get caught up in that. How do I learn how to clean? I want to get really good at cleaning. And then they go to the workout and then their cycling looks like crap. And it's like, well, I never taught you that skill. Like, oh, it's a skill. Yes, it's a skill. Right. So again, whatever's on the board, we can't worry about the numbers. You have to bring that go-getter attitude once your coach has brought you the ability to do that skill.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a great approach, and it's a qualitative approach to such a quantitative sport, right? And I think the competitive aspect of what CrossFit is and the competitive fitness component of it, and like even the compete daily, like find someone on your level and like you're racing them in this, it drives objectivity, right? It's I got more reps, I lifted more weight, but it doesn't necessarily take into account the quality of it, the qualitative portion of
Yeah.
it. And that's it. Kind of what I've seen is that it breeds the mindset of more is better, right? And
Hmm.
in all aspects. And that's like, all right, I want to get better at cleaning. I need to do more cleans, not better cleans. I need to do more cleans, or I need to do heavier cleans so that I can go faster on my lighter cleans. And it kind of sidesteps this whole thing that you're talking about is actually the skill of the exercise you're trying to perform, right? Proficiency is the thing that allows you to scale this, not necessarily
Hmm.
load or capacity. And I really like that rationale that you have when you're teaching new people is that, okay, like if we do a very little amount of this, you can probably get through it anyway, anyhow. But if we scale that up and we do a very high volume in these exercises, you're not going to make it unless you're proficient at the movement. And being proficient is actually the buy-in to building capacity. It's not the other way around. It's not capacity is not going to make you proficient. It's being proficient in the skill is going to now give you the ability to train your capacity to do the movement. So I think that's a really valuable outlook to have on this type of exercise particularly, but exercise in general, because that's not specific to CrossFit. That's any old gym bro in the gym. That's any beginner power lifter. It's people that have an understanding of what exercise is, and that the more weight you use, the stronger you get doing it, or kind of vice versa. They see strong people moving a lot of weight, so they think the way to get strong is to move more weight, when in reality, it's to get better at doing the thing that allows you to move the weight, and then that will enable you to do the thing with more weight over time, which is another important part of it is time. If you don't stay in the sport that you're doing or continue to do that exercise for a long time horizon, you're not going to get better at it. And you're not going to be able to do it for a long time horizon if you injure yourself, or if you reach these plateaus, or if the technique of the skill that you're practicing doesn't align with progression, right? If you're using a technique that isn't necessarily progressible, then all right, you'll reach the end of the road, and then yeah, something will give. Either it's the fucks that you have to keep trying to get better at this, or it'll be your MCL or your fucking shoulder labrum or something else, because you're doing it in a way that's not consistent with the way that people see progress in that movement. So I think that's a really valuable approach to have, and I think you're sending the right message to the right people at the right time.